Great thing about being on video is you can get away with lots. So here we can get away. We packed up this massive stadium with thousands of people. It's unbelievable. For those not here at the Zohar to see this, it's incredible. Baruch Hashem. So I also like to express my Karas HaTov. First of all, always to Chazaq, Rabbi and all the Chevra, Rabbi's here, and Shapsi and Yaniv and all the guys. I've been zocheh to do quite a bit with them, and it's just every shiur gets 100%, every person gets 100%, and it's beautiful. Hashem should continue to give them the kochos and the ability and the strength to go on with their mission to bring us all to Mashiach Tzidkeinu here. Amen. So tonight's shiur, as Rabbi said, is Leilui Nishmas Miriam Bas Zilpa, and Miriam, her neshama, should have an aliyah with all the learning we're doing, but not just learning. My shiur might try very much that we don't just sit and learn something and then we walk away and say, oh, I have a new piece of knowledge, but that we find a way to bring it into our lives in a very practical way and grow as Jews closer to the Rabbi Shalom. And to Batya, Chaimo for arranging, thank you so much. All the schusim also should go to you and help you in all your endeavors, and Hashem should be with you and give you bracha and atzlacha and simcha and health and all of it. Amen. So, it was really nice. I got to daven Arvit here, to pray Arvit, to daven Ma'ariv, covering all the bases and so everybody understands. And years ago, I used to work for Eish Torah, and we spent the summer in Eretz Yisrael. I was running a bunch of trips there, and my mother-in-law, she should live and be well to 120. How often do you hear a son-in-law give that bracha? She's a special mother-in-law. So she lives in Rehovot. And my wife is Sephardi, and she lives in the Sephardi area, and I was there. So I was davening primarily for the entire summer by the Sephardi shuls. And although it felt a little different, and when I was in the Temani place, I wasn't even sure we were in the same religion. But when I went to the regular Sephardi, I said, okay, I know it's the same Hashem for sure, and I got it. So coming back to the Sephardi shul feels a little bit like being back in Eretz Yisrael for me. There's even a time here I was looking around, I can't put my finger on it, but there's a feeling, an avira of Eretz Yisrael in the shul. Maybe it's the Rav, maybe it's the Mispalin. He was talking between Mincha and Mariv, and he was mostly in Hebrew, and it just feels nice. It feels like home. So let's talk a little bit about Israel. I'll tell you a story that happened in Israel. There was a Jewish man, a Yehudi, and he was sitting on a park bench in a yeshuv somewhere. And he's sitting there minding his own business, and he has his coffee, and he has a garinim, and he has his newspaper, and everything's good. All of a sudden, one of our wonderful cousins runs up, gives him a punch to the face, and looks down and says, "A punch from PLO." He straightens his jaw like a Jew does, and he gets up and he goes like this, picks himself back up, picks his coffee back up, takes his garden back in his lap, opens his paper again, says, "I'm not going to let this animal move me from my place. They want to come, they want to take our land, not going to happen. This Jew is not getting beaten down." He sits there. 5 minutes pass, and without notice, without any provocation, that same animal that looks like a human being comes running over, gives him a kick to the shin. He says, "A kick from Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade." Thank you so much. Amen. And he gives him a swift kick. And his shin is killing, and he fell to the floor. Again, he picks himself back up. Sheva Yipol Tzadik Bakam, gets back up, dusts himself off, picks his paper up, picks his coffee up, takes the garden back in his lap, and continues to be undisturbed. 5 minutes later, the same donkey comes back, and this time gives an elbow to the gut, and he says, "An elbow from ISIS." This is enough. He's in the face, he's in the shin, he's in the thing, he's on the floor. He says, "I'm not going to move." And he gets back up, and the coffee and the paper and the garinim, and he's sitting there, and he says, "I'm not moving." Now 5 minutes later, a knee to the hip from Al-Qaeda. Not 5 minutes later, from Boko Haram, a shove to the back, and he's on the floor, and he's had it, and he doesn't know what to do. And he's on the floor, he's beaten, and he's bruised, and he's bloodied. And he walks away. And the Arab sits there, and he picks up the guy's coffee, he picks up his paper, and he picks up his garinim, and he takes his place as they are trying to do. And he's sitting there, and not 15 minutes goes by, and all of a sudden our Yehudi comes back with a shovel. Takes the shovel, smacks the guy in the back of the head, falls down, cracks his skull, and he goes, "A shovel from Home Depot." You see that sometimes the Yetzer Hara comes to us with all these ideas and wants to get into a little bit of a fight with us from Boko Haram, from the ISIS. We'll talk about it in a theology, and sometimes you just got to pick up a shovel and knock the guy out. Sometimes you just got to get very, very practical. What to do and what not to do. So I want to get very practical right now because we're entering Yomim Noreim, we're entering Elul into Tishrei. It's Aryeh Shag Milo Yara, the lion roars, who does not get scared? It's serious time. I remember when my older son became bar mitzvah, so we were driving back from the bar mitzvah, and he, this is like, by us it was years in the making because we started when he was 6 years old, we started learning Mishnayot for Shas. And he finished Shas, Baruch Hashem, by his bar mitzvah. So he finished his Shas, and he worked 7 years on it. And then he did his pshetel, and he worked some time on that. And then we had the party, and he got his aliyah in shul. It was a lot leading up, and it was all this focus. And Safta is in, and the other Safta is in, and Zaidi, and everybody's paying attention to him, and it's amazing. So we get in the car, and we pack our stuff up after the bar mitzvah, after the party, after it's all done, and he's in the car. It's late at 1 o'clock in the morning, and he says, "Now what? Like, what happens now? What's the next party?" And I said, "What do you mean now what? Now you start life. Now you're a man, as much as a man as he could be at that size and height and so on. But you're a man, and now you get up tomorrow and you daven shacharit, and you put on your tefillin, and you work hard, and you welcome to the world." We have this thing. We went through Tisha B'Av, and even though Tisha B'Av is absolutely a very, very difficult and tragic day, it's already become, if you look around, there's programming and there's excitement almost for Tisha B'Av. The Chassam Sofer himself said, he said, if I would have enough chutzpah, I would say that it's a simcha on Tisha B'Av, because there's a reality of that simcha of Tisha B'Av being a bit of a gift for us, because it gives you a kick in the pants. And it says, you know what, I got to really start working on things. I got to bring the Beis Hamikdash back. It's a gift, in a way. It's a painful gift, but it's a gift. And nowadays, even more so. It's funny, I feel weird. My Rebbe is Rav Moshe Weinberger. I live in Woodmere, and I daven by Ish Kodesh. It's the most powerful day in our shul. And people are like excited that the Rav is away during the summer, and he comes back, and he's very powerful, and very emotional, and very amazing. And so we have like an excitement towards it. And then that leads to Tu B'Av. And then we had this whole thing Yad La'achem put together. I don't know if you were part of it. And you said Tehillim at 10 a.m. for all the young ladies that they should find the Shidduchim. There's a lot of excitement going on in the summer. And then all of a sudden you have like a month and a half of Elul. Like, now what? What do I do now? Okay, I should do tshuva. I got it. I should do tshuva. What does that mean? What am I doing? How does the tshuva process work? What am I actually doing? What am I doing wrong the rest of the year that I should be working on now? So, there's one of the most amazing stories of tshuva that we find in the Gemara. Gemara Avodah Zarah brings down a story. It's a story I'm sure you've all heard. I'm going to quickly run through it. I don't like to spend too much time inside in any of my talks. Not that being inside in the Gemara is not amazing and wonderful and beautiful, but I find that people have a hard time paying attention for too long. Amar Allah Rabbi Elazar ben Durdai. They said about a certain person named Rabbi Elazar ben Durdai. Shalomiyach zona achas ba'olam shel ba'ala. There wasn't one zona. I'm not going to translate that here. There wasn't that he didn't have something to do with. Not one, in the entire world. One time he heard there was one. And she was all the way in some city, way out there over the seas. Vaisanotelas kissed dinar b'schar, and she took a huge amount. Her schar, her payment was astronomical, a tremendous amount that she asked for. Nata kissed dinar. So what did he do? He picked up a pocket full of money. He gathered the money together. V'halach v'avar la sheven aros. He went and he crossed 7 seas, 7 rivers to get there. It wasn't a spur of the moment, my taiva got to me. It was a thought out process. I am going to do this aver. Not just an aver, one of the worst averas, top 3. Gilei Arayos. He got there. B'shas Hargal Davar, came the time for him to do the avera. Haficha. She went like this. She blew on him. She breathed out on him. Amran, she said, Keshem shaficha zu eina chozeres l'mkoma, kach Allah's b'nudai ein mekabel osa b'tshuva. Just like this breath. Interesting that she chose the breath. I want you to pay attention to the details. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Details. But the details, and when you see stories like this in Chazal, the deepest secrets are hidden in it. In every very nuance. Just like this breath will not return to its place, right? You can't ever get a breath back. Even deeper than that, what does the breath represent? It's our neshama, right? I'll call neshima talaka, call neshama. The neshama is the breath of God. It's not just the breath of God, it's the deepest part of who we are. Besides for Chai and Yechida, which are 2 higher levels, we know that Kabbalah tells us that how is a neshama blown into us? So like a glass blower. How does a glass blower make glass? There's a receptacle, there's the person, and then there's a pipe in between. So the neshama is the neshima, the breath from inside. Man de nafach mi delay nafach, the Zohar says. One that blows from within inside. That's the Lashon uses, the haficha, neficha. It's the depth of who you are. So that's the neshama, it's the highest part. That's mamash from Hashem. Then there's the ruach. The ruach is the wind as it travels through the pipe into the receptacle. So there's nefesh, ruach, neshama. Neshama is the highest. It comes from God Himself. It's the depth of God. It's chelek elokam, it's piece of Hashem. The ruach is how it travels through. It's a little bit higher. And the nefesh, vayinafash, it rested, is where it rests inside of us. So what we walk around with, like the goyim, like other animate objects and not objects, animals, have some type of nefesh. That's the lowest part. Then there's the ruach, and then there's a neshama, which is very, very high. So she took from the depth of who she is, and she blew it out on him. And she said, that's never going to return. You're never going to do tshuva. You're never going to get accepted in tshuva. He got very, very upset by this. He went and he sat between 2 mountains and valleys. He said, please, mountains and valleys, I'm begging you, ask for mercy for me. It appears that I'm done, that I can't do tshuva. I'm asking you to beg for mercy for me. And they said, we gotta, before we worry about you, we gotta worry about ourselves. And they quoted him a pasuk. I'm gonna skip all the pasukim here. Amar, he said, Shemayim va'aretz bikshul alai rachamim. Then he said, okay, heavens and earth, ask for me rachamim. Amar Hashem v'vakshim v'lachem. They gave him the same answer. Amar Chama Levan, he said, sun and moon, bikshul alai rachamim. They gave him the same answer. Amar Kochav Ma'azalos, bikshul alai rachamim. He said, stars and constellations. They gave him the same answer. Amar, he said a very famous line, Eina davar tali eli bi. It's on me. I got to step up. I got to man up. I got to do what I got to do. No one's helping me here. Hiniach rosho bein birkav. He put his head between his knees. The gav of chiyah, which the Svarim explained, was an act of going back to the beginning. It was an act of like a child, like a fetus in the womb. He reenacted that and put his head between his feet. The gav of chiyah, and he screamed out and crying, Achigasa Nishmas, until his neshama left him. He died. Yatsa Baskava Amar, and the Baskava came out and said, Reb Elazar ben Dudai mizum l'chayol haba. Reb Elazar ben Dudai is prepared for the coming world. He gets olam haba. So Gemara asks a question there. We're going to skip that. Bacha Rebbe cried. Amar, and he said, Yesh kanolam v'kamashanim. There are certain people over many years they acquire their world. And then there are people that in one moment, one shah, a shah just doesn't mean just a moment, it means one turn. It says by Cain. It says Hashem didn't turn, it didn't pay attention to his thing, it didn't interest him. One moment of turning around, he acquires his olam haba. V'amar Rebbe said, Lo dayin l'bali tshuva shekavan al shekonas Rebbe. Not only that, it's not enough that they get their tshuva accepted, but they get the called Rebbe. The Baskel came out and he called him Rebbe Elazar ben Nadai. And the Gemara brings another story similar to this, where somebody, not even a Jew, gave up his life, and at the last moment, and he was a horrible person, he was killing one of the Tanaim, and he said, if you let me come in with you, Olam Haba, I'll end your suffering. And he went up, and also had a Baskel come out. So, we have to ask here, what type of crying was Rebbe doing? Most times you learn this Gemara, you think, oh, Rebbe's crying, he's just so emotional about it. Some people have to work their whole lives. Wow, this guy, 1 second, it's unbelievable. The Malbim says that crying, bacha, the lashon of bacha, is always negative. It's like over death. You see bechia when it comes to death. What's the lashon in Eicha? Macha Hashem kol dima me'alpeh. I don't remember the lashon right now. But you see it in the Pesukim where Bechia in the Malbim says it means over bad things. So what's that? What are we all trying to get to? Let's talk. Since we're little kids, Mora and Rebbe is telling us we're trying. This is Olam Hazeh Dom the Prostar, and we're trying to get to the chakra. We're trying to just get to Olam Haba. That's what we want, right? End of the day, we want Olam Haba. What is this world? It's the next world. It's Mashiach, whatever it is. The Rambam, the Ramban, lots of different deos of what it is, but we know it's a good place. We know it's happy. We know it's an enemy of Ashchina. We get the Shechina coming to us. That's what we want. If you're a healthy, normal, functioning Orthodox Jew, you want Olam Haba. So the guy got Olam Haba. He got it. And apparently, Olam Haba is only when you're doing the right thing. So why is he crying? Not like that. He seems to be. He says, not enough that they accepted him, but they call him Rebbe now because he was Dudai. I think it's the Maral. I wrote it here. I'm pretty sure it's the Maral that says that Dudai means the dredges, like when you have wine, when you have the grapes sitting there, the schmutz, the stuff that goes to that, that's the Dudaim, the dredges of it, it's the garbage. He was Elazar ben Nadai. We're not talking about like a guy who fell. Like I said, the Gemara tells us he traveled 7 seas to get there. He had plenty of time to stop and say, nah, this is not a good thing. He spent his entire life seeking out zonot. This was, if I'm allowed to say, it's hard to say now because he's in Olam Haba and we call him Rav now. But at that point, he was a Rasha Marusha. And in 1 second, like that, he turns it around. So is it a good thing or a bad thing? Well, can it be a bad thing? Can't be a bad thing. Hashem made it happen. Hashem built into the system that you can do this. It's a back door. It's those cheat codes. I don't know, I see some people more my age here, a little older. If you remember Nintendo, I don't know if you ever played it. I can't stand video games. I never got into it, but we had it. And there were always I had all my friends that knew all the cheat codes. Up, A, B, 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 and then you skip and you get 100 extra lives, and you get to the 11th board, and you save the queen, and everything's good. Is it bad to do that? Who are you going against? The coders, the one who wrote the game, allowed you to do that. They're the ones who wrote it in there. It wasn't like a mistake, like somebody figured out, oh, you made a mistake. They wrote it in there. It's a whole chop in this gaming world. My brother-in-law is very into these gaming things, and it's like a whole thing, like how to figure out what to do and how to win the game. The goal is to win the game, right? So they won the game. Does it matter that they got there like that? What's Rebbe crying about? So the reality is that you know, if you have 2 gamers and they're playing these games, and one guy does the cheat codes, and the other guy goes and he works at it, and it's a pathetic existence of a human being and a waste of life. But say you have such a person, and he's going ahead and he's working on it, he's doing these things. How does he look at the guy who cheated his way in? Never, like he got in there. Rebbe was crying because, yes, Hashem did it. Yes, He coded our system of life that He wants everyone to realize that you never give up. Ein yesh b'olam klal. There's always a shot. I am 119 years old and tomorrow's my birthday and I'm a Rosh Marusha. Don't worry, I got you covered. I got a system, AABBB. Good, you're in. Da'al Kiddush Hashem, Mesiras Nefesh. You're in. But Rebbe cried because that's not what life is supposed to be. Because it's a chaval, because you go in and you're in Olam Haba, but everybody looks at you like, oh, how'd you get here? You worked your whole life, you struggled, you pushed, you worked on every midah, you killed it, you showed up to davening on time, you didn't talk, you worked like us? No, I actually did every avera known to man, and at the last second, and I remember where I saw there was like a cartoon or something I saw years ago, and somebody's trying to find God, like one of the people in the cartoon. So he talks to someone else and he's bringing him around to the different religions. So he says, well, this religion, he brings them to Christianity, and they believe that as long as you accept, I don't want to say his name in a Makam Kaddish in a shul, as long as you accept cheese and crackers into your heart, you're good. So they cut to Osama bin Laden, and Osama bin Laden is there, and SEAL Team 6 comes and they have the light on his head, and he's screaming a second before Allahu Akbar and all this stuff, and then at the last second he goes, I accept cheese and crackers. Last second, and then you see him go up to heaven. Like, it's all good. Don't worry about it. So, Lahavdal, Elf, Alfi, Rivi, Rovos, Avdalos, Hashem seems to work something like that into our system. But yet, our Rebbe, is not happy with this. This is not what he wants us doing, and it seems like this is not what Hashem wants us doing. There's Rav Hutner explains, it's a very long mimer, I'm not going to obviously do it now, but in case anybody wants to learn this, to really understand this entire sugya, so it's mimer Tesvav in Pachad Yitzchak on Shavuos. And he's quoting some psukim from Tehillim. Psukim we all know. Torah Hashem Tamim Meshivas Nafesh, Eidas Hashem Ne'emana Machakim Pesi. We say it every Shabbat. And Achvad Mizov Pazra Pusuk Medvashin of Tzufim Gam Avdacha Nizar Behem B'Shamram Ekev Rav. And he brings the medrash. He doesn't quote the medrash. The Chazal tell us that the reason why Ekev Rav are together, Ekev, this week's parsha, by Ekev Asher Tishmun, Ekev and Rav are together. Why? What does Ekev make us think of? So Rashi tells us, Mitzvah Shadam Dash Bakavav. The small things that we trample on in our lives, that we step on with our heel, specifically the heel. We'll talk about that in a few minutes in Mitzvah Hashem. And it's together with the word Rav. Ischar ha-mitzvot hu nidrash, da'inu shechalaf avodat ha-zihirut b'mitzvot she'adam dash ba'akavo, zochem la'ot ha-schar ha-tzafon she'never bo Rav. Kol shana katuv. Ma Rav tuvcha asher tzafant l'reyacha. Rav should make us think of, we're not as familiar with this other pasuk, Rav makes us think of this other pasuk, Ma Rav tuvcha asher tzafant l'reyacha. Hashem has something great hidden away, very, very hidden. There's two types of schar. There's an open schar, and there's a hidden schar. And Ekev Rav are together, the Medrash tells us, and Rav Hutner brings down, and the rest of this mimer he spends explaining this. We learn from here, Ki b'chlaliyut ha'inyan shel schar mitzvot, yeshno sug shel schar bal techuna shel tzafon. There's a certain type of schar waiting for us that's very hidden. V'chisug zeh shel schar mishtayech hu b'davka u'b'pratiyut l'mitzua ha'avoda b'inyanim she'adam dash ba'kavav. He says, and this schar that we're talking about, it's very, very deeply connected to those types of mitzvahs, the ones that we trample on, the little things in life. Now, in general, let's talk about little things for a second. So let's do one more Gemara. That's it, and then I'm done, even though I brought another one. We're going to put that away. The Gemara says an unbelievable story also that you all have heard before. The Gemara tells over, Rabbi Rabbi Yehuda says the name of Rav, and I'll skip the Hebrew, we'll just explain the story. Moshe went up to Shemayim. Moshe goes up to Shemayim, and what does he see Hashem doing? Sheyoshe b'kosher kisarim kitarim la'otiyot. He's tying crowns on the letters. Hashem says, Moshe says, who's making you do this? Well, it wasn't enough. You wrote the whole Torah. It's filled with everything. It's not missing anything. What are you doing more? And tiny little crowns. If anyone's seen the Torah here, if you look on the letters here, on the other side, I think you could see it also. There are tagin. We call them tagin, or crowns on the bima. Little things on top of the letters in the Torah. So Hashem's sitting there, and he's tying these crowns on. He's sitting and tying the crowns to the letters. He says, who's stopping you from giving us the Torah without all this? What do I need all this? In other words, Moshe didn't know. Chazaq explained. Moshe did not know what these things were. Moshe Rabbeinu, he knew everything. He did not know what these things were. So Hashem said to him, Amalo Adam Echad Yesha Atid Layot B'Sof Kamadorot. Now there's somebody, he's going to come after a lot of generations. Who is he? Akiva ben Yosef Shmo. It's Akiva. Sha'atid L'Drosh Al Kol Kotz V'Kotz Tilin Tilin Shalachot. He's going to come and he's going to expound mounds and mounds, piles, mountains, interesting, large mountains on the details on every little crown in this Torah. So Moshe said, Harei Oli, can you show it to me? I'd like to see such a person. He said, turn around. And he went, Moshe went, and he sat at the end of the 8th row in Rabbi Akiva's study. Rabbi Akiva had a Beit Midrash, and he sat 8 rows back. That means something also, obviously. Gemara says, Moshe did not know what they were talking about. He's listening to the shiurim, and he's like, I don't get it. He felt like a first grader walks into the Beit Midrash, and they're talking deep in a Tosfot, and the Rabbi Akiva Eger, and they're working out a sugya, and you're like, I don't know what's going on. It was like me when I walked into the Taimani shul. I had no clue what was going on. So he says, Tashash Kocho. Moshe felt very bad about it. He got weak from this. Kivin Shagila Davar Echad. They got to one part in the sugya. Amalo Tamida Rebbe Minayimach. The student said, Rebbe to Rabbi Akiva. Moshe was sitting in the back. Nobody knew he was there. He's sitting in the back. Rabbi Akiva's learning. Moshe has no clue what's going on. And then the students say, Rebbe, how do you know that? And he says, I got it from Moshe. And he says, oh, okay, I feel better now. So then, Moshe goes back in front of Hashem, and he tells him, you have such a great man, Rabbi Akiva. You're giving the Torah to me? Give it to him. He's much better than me. He says, be quiet. This is what the thought has gone up, my own thought process. You don't get involved in this. Okay. And he tells it to him again, basically, that's the Gemara. Let's understand here. There are 2 ways, 2 drachim, 2 paths, 2 mahalchim, 2 processes that one can connect Hashem to. One is in the way of a taker, and one is the way of a giver. One is the way of Torah Shabbat, and one is the way of Torah Shabbat. One is the way of Moshe Rabbeinu, and one is the way of Rabbi Akiva. Moshe was the leader. When Moshe's time, you see at Mitzrayim, 10 makot, 250 makot according, I think actually, someone corrects me if someone remembers I got that. Isn't Rabbi Akiva that said it was 250? That it was 4 makot for every 1 makot by the, I think it was Rabbi Akiva who says it. So we'll look it up after. By the Yamsuf, and he splits the Yamsuf, and the Midbar, and there's Mun, and there's the Be'er Miriam, and the Ananim, and they're all B'schut Moshe, right? Because after Aaron died, the Ananim left, after Miriam died, the Be'er left, and then in the Schut Moshe, the Gemara tells us they all came back. So really they were all for Moshe. And he goes up to the Har Sinai, and thunder and lightning, and the whole world is shaking. Moshe Rabbeinu. What was Moshe's derech that he brought down, his connection between Klal Yisrael and Hashem? The big things. The awesome moments, Hashem speaking to them. That's called inspiration. That's called hitorut. You go to an inspiring thing, you go to a great shir, you go to a kumsitz, you sit by an oneg and you sing and it's just unbelievable and everything's exciting. What did you do to earn that? Nothing. Therefore, usually Yom Kippur comes and where are most of us 10 minutes after? Where are our minds? Where are our thoughts? What are we thinking about? Where are we after Tisha B'Av? How do we feel? Let's be very honest right now. After Tisha B'Av, after all the crying and all the, oh my gosh, and all the death is because of it, and all the shidduchim because of it, and all, it's all because of Beit HaMikdash, and we feel horrible, and then we go back and then we say, it's over. I don't have to feel bad anymore. Okay, good. Now it's happy time. And we love happy time. Great. Happy time in Judaism. That's great. We're just fine that it's done and that we just don't have to look back anymore. Because those things, for the most part, if we're not doing them right, they're hitorut. They're awakenings. Hashem says He sends us something into our life, and it's a big moment. And big moments are great, and we need big moments, and we need a Moshe Rabbeinu, but that's not the path of life. The way into Olam Haba, you can have a big moment. That's why, what was I talking to? To the mountains, to the stars, to the moon, to the sun, to the valleys, to all the big things in life. Until he says, no, Talik B, just little Elazar ben Dudai, I have to do this. And he went back to being like a baby. And then, in that big moment, his neshama left. But Rebbe wasn't happy about that. Rebbe cried and said, Nebuch, it's a chaval. Your whole life is wasted because you're waiting for the big moments. You're waiting for Hashem to hand out something to you. So you sit like this, like a pauper. That's not why Hashem said. Hashem said, Nasa Adam. Let us make man. I'll give you all the things that you need. I'll give you the raw material. I'll give you the Lego blocks for you to build. But we got to do it together. I don't want you just to wait for me to do everything for you. So therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu, we don't know where he's buried. We don't even know the day the Torah was given on. Right? We're not sure if it's Vav or Zayin Sivan. See, you think about it. It's interesting. The biggest thing in our life is the Torah. And we don't even know where it was given. I mean, when it was given. We're not really sure where Har Sinai is. We're not sure where Moshe Rabbeinu is buried. Because our life, post that era of Dara Midbar, is not supposed to be a life of big moments. Not that we shouldn't get big moments, and we shouldn't use them. But that's not how we travel to Olam Haba. We travel there step after step. Getting up in the morning, and struggling, and working on things, and going over it and over it. It's the minutiae, it's the small things. And how do you see small things? Understand, Rabbi Akiva, who is Otiot Yesh Kona Olamo B'Sha Achat, is the Otiot Akiva, because Akiva came to uproot that, to say we don't want a life of that. How did Akiva turn to Akiva? How did Akiva turn to Rabbi Akiva? What did he notice? A rushing waters? No. He noticed one drop after another drop after another drop, and billions of tiny drops making a hole. And thereafter, as Avosar of Nassan says, there he said, okay, so if something so soft, not just so soft, so tiny, so small, a drop, and billions of them could go into a even, then I could turn I have a leiv basar, Torah could come into my heart. Rabbi Akiva was one of the Torah Shabbat Peh. What's Torah Shabbat Ksav? One pasuk. Vayidav Hashem al Moshe Leimer. And you read through Eikav, and Rashi says that this is all I'm doing right now, this entire shir, is really just explaining that Rashi. First Rashi in this week's Parsha, which always comes out before El. It's because of Eikav. Rashi says, if you listen to those tiny things that we know, that more people don't pay attention to, then what's going to happen? He's going to keep the brit and the chesed that he swore. He's going to love you. He's going to give you bracha. All the he's going to give you all the things, the grain, the wine, the oil. You're going to have children. Baruch Tiyeh Mikol Am, you're going to be blessed from everybody. No more miscarriages. Peis Hashem B'chol Kol Choli, get rid of all sicknesses. All because of what? Akev. Because you become an Akev Jew. It's a description of Olam Haba. You want to get there? Very simple. How does Hashem want you to get there? Very simple. Pay attention to the small things. Now we said before that dafka, that's why the small things, we have a connection to the Rav, to the Tzafon, to what's hidden. Because the schar, instinctively, if I said to 100 Jews, I said, what do you want? You want an open gift, or you want the hidden box? I don't know, those of you that remember the game show, Let's Make a Deal? And when I was a kid, there was a Let's Make a Deal. I forgot who the guy was, and they would always say, do you want this, or you want what's behind door number 2? Or behind it, there would be a hidden thing, and everybody wants, give me the hidden thing. Because we're excited, like, what might that be? That's a silly example, but by Hashem, what's hidden is always much greater, right? You don't see Neshama, you don't see Mashiach, you don't see Olam Haba, none of that's said in the Torah. I remember watching Rabbi Yitzchak a few years ago. It was many years ago because it was a VHS someone gave me, and he's got hundreds and thousands of people there, and a guy says, Kvod Rav, Efo katuv b'Torah Olam Haba? It's a good question. It's not written anywhere. So he says, Im ein katuv b'Torah azeh? So it's not there. If it's not, the Torah doesn't say it. So he goes, Moshe, Efo katuv b'Torah chumus? So the guy goes, what? He goes, Ato ochel chumus? You eat chumus? But zeh ein katuv b'Torah, so don't eat chumus anymore. So obviously that's a silly. See, he was saying, and then he went on to explain that because it's not written in the Torah, straight out in the Torsion of Time, which is the big things, it's hidden. Bless you. It's hidden deep inside because the hidden things are always much greater. The love between a husband and wife. We don't parade it out in the streets like the Goyim. It's a hidden way. It's in Kodesh Kodashim. The holiest moment, the highest moment, where the Kruvim are sitting and show each other their love, where they're hugging each other, is where in the Kodesh, behind a cloth, behind the wall, behind the thing. We keep it hidden. And what else is hidden? The deeper you go into Torah, the more details and the more hidden it is. So you have Torah Shabbat. Then you have Torah Shabbat Peh. That's Moshe's world. And then Torah Shabbat Peh is whose world? That's Rabbi Kiva. Without Rabbi Kiva, we don't have Torah Shabbat Peh. Rabbi Kiva's world is taking the big and showing all the little details in it. That's Torah Shabbat Peh. And bringing it into our lives, all the little details of it. Who is Rabbi Kiva's Talmud? His main Talmud, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. What did he bring to the world? The Zohar HaKadosh. What's the Zohar? The greatest light in the world. That's when I actually was thinking of this Torah. I was at the Hilula of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai by my Rebbe, Rabbi Weinberger was doing it, and I was sitting in such a way, I was sitting up front, and the light from they had these big screens so that everybody could see. Baruch Hashem, there's over 1,000 people that come, and they have the light from the video onto the screen. And I was sitting there and I was noticing in the light, you see all the little particles of dust. Right now, there's tons of dust in here. We don't see it, this is the mothers. But there in the light has a way of showing you all the tiny particles of dust. And if you look at all the moments of our lives, of working ourselves moments, Elul, which we're discussing now, Sirah, which also has very much to do with Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. What's Sirah? It's not just work on Chesed, Gevura, Netzach, Hod, Sod, Tiferes, Machas. No. Work on Gevura, Sheba Netzach, and Tiferes, Sheba Netzach, and Hod, Sheba Machas. Every detail you got to work out. We have to get every little nuance of it. What else are we working on ourselves? In a very deep way, when you're looking for the chametz, right? You're not supposed to just look for the physical chametz. You're supposed to get rid of the chametz inside. What do? You take a little candle and you go into the cracks and crevices. The halacha says. I can look. There's no big piece of chametz. But the chametz is the Yetzer Hara. And on Pesach we say, get rid of every single crumb. So Akiva, who has the name Akev, what's the idea of an Akev? The Akev is the least feeling part of your body, right? In order to feel in the Akev, it has to be something big. It does not feel little tiny things. Your fingers, unless you're working with hard things all the time, you're sewing all the time, and they're not calloused, if you're sensitive, you'll feel every little bit. You'll feel every crevice in here. If I put my heel on that, I wouldn't feel that. You don't feel much in your heel. The ikvasa, the neshicha, which is us. We are at the end of time. We're called the heel of Adam Elyon. If the supernal man, as Kabbalah teaches, was not just the first being, it's really descriptive of something besides just for Adam. Adam Arishon, Adam Elyon means all of man, all of humanity through all the generations. Where do we come? Where our neshama is from? From the heel. And it's interesting that we don't feel a lot. What does it take to get us to cry during davening, during shul? Back in the day, you ask our grandparents. Tisha B'Av was filled with crying and Yom Kippur, and people felt every little bit. They were sensitive to each other. How desensitized are we to each other? What does it take to notice somebody anymore? To get out of our things and to see that there's another human being there. But to the opposite, the Yitzhar has flipped it out on us. Now, what we're super sensitive is to every stupid little thing. I'm in traffic. I need to sit 10 years in therapy to deal with the traffic. Somebody said something on the radio that said that I'm not a good person, and now my life fell apart. And everybody, the whole world is, you say a joke, Chas Shalom, and then whoa, forget about it. You're fired, you're killed, you're dead. Everybody's so touchy. And what do we do? Take a picture of our food. Everybody should see this. Do you know how much business now is based on tiny stupidity? You become an internet star, what is it? Instagram, thank you. An Instagram star. What are Instagram people doing? Not selling anything, not adding any value to the world. They're just saying, look at my clothes, look at my dress, look at my food that I'm eating, and we take tiny stupidity in the world and we blow that up. Look how big this is. I cooked something. My baby made a poo-poo in the diaper. Everybody should see. It's going on Facebook, it's going on Instagram, and everybody has to know about it, and all the nuances of my pathetic little life are made big, and people are paying these people thousands of dollars. It's crazy. It's been a hapachu of this world. That the Gemara says, and I believe it's in Psachim, I think it's in two places, I think it's Bavasa as well, where the Gemara describes that where Rabbi Yosef went up, whatever happened, it's a machloka, whether he died or he had some coma or whatever, he had Aliyas Hashem and he came back and his father said, what happened, what'd you see? He says, I saw Olam Hafach Reisi, I saw an upside down world. The Elyon and Lamatan, Elyon, the high were low, the low were high, the small were big. He says, no, Olam Bara Reita, you saw a clear world. This is Olam Hafach. This world, we've turned around everything. So, the big things, everybody's very good at. We're good at Yom Kippur, we're good at Tisha B'Av, we're good at all those things. The little things, coming to shul on time, not talking during davening, to worry about how we look, to worry about how we talk to somebody else. I can't tell you, I'm out in the business world, I'm in finance, I meet with people, I meet with from people that use Lashonot that they don't let, I think they don't let on TV anymore, still. On radio, I'm pretty sure they don't let these things. And from people. And you say, no, you talk to Hashem with that mouth? It's just a word. It's just a word. Kol Yaakov, we're the people of the word. Just a word. Do you know that the Arvei Nachal, no, don't remember which Tzaddik said this, but he said that every time we say, I don't know, in Sephardi, do you say after the brachot, do you say, right? You say that. Nusach Ashkenaz doesn't say. Nusach Sfarad says. Do you say that every day? We say it in Nusach Sfarad. So the Sfarad asks, what are you asking every day to be saved with Din Shaganim? At the end of the time, you get saved from Din Shaganim. Ask one time, not every day. He says something very scary. Maybe it is Arvei Nachal. He says, the Tzaddik says, I don't remember. He says, every word that comes out of your mouth, because we're like Hashem, we're B'Tselem Elokim, and just like when Hashem spoke, and the breath leaves. When you speak, breath is leaving from your mouth. Part of our neshama leaves, every word, and it is judged at that moment. So you are constantly going either to Shemayim or Chas Hashem somewhere else. Every word comes out, and Hashem says, is it a good word or bad word? Where's it going? There's no in-between place. There's no let's just put it on the side. No. Every word has some of our neshama in it. It's a little scary. And Hashem says, where is it going? The more pinimiyut we learn, which means you go deeper, right? Look at the body and it looks just like this. It's one piece. You go deeper into the body and you see all the organs and the things. You go deeper into the body, you see the cells. You go deeper and you see the atoms. You go deeper. You see how many little things are there. And the greater you are in any area of life, you're great in business, you know it's not just about buying and selling a building, buying and selling a diamond, right? The greater the guy in the diamond business, he knows how to look at that diamond and see all the details and nuances of it. No, it's a color like this, it's a shape like this. Don't you know? And it comes from there, and that place they chisel like this. Every year, you're a good mechanic. So one guy, I look at a car, it's got 4 wheels, I think it's good. No. Bring a mechanic, he looks at it, he says, you know what type of engine this is, and look what type of oil they're using. The greater you are and the more you understand each sugya, you're going to pay attention to the details. The macro versus the micro. In a relationship. I told her I love her once. We got a wedding. Well, I got to do everything. Every day you pay attention to her. Every day you say, wow, did you brush your hair slightly different? You get up and you say, good morning, you look so beautiful, you look wonderful, whatever it is. The nuances. Think about a marriage that's just, kacha, the big things. We'll go out on the anniversary, the 20th anniversary, we'll go out. What about just Stam going out on a Wednesday to take the wife out and to go for a meal? What that does for a relationship? Because it's saying little things. Today is important. I'm not making it all about the one thing. So Rabbi Kiva was the one who darshan even the little tagan on the Torah. Rabbi Kiva says, Moshe Rabbeinu looks at it and says, well, what are you doing, Hashem? Not Kaviyach, he doesn't stand at Moshe Rabbeinu's level. This is for us to learn from. We can't get to those worlds of who Moshe was and Rabbi Kiva was, but for us to learn, to understand. And he doesn't understand it. And Akiva says, whoa, Tilei Tilam Shalalachos. Mound. I take the tiny and I make it huge. It's tremendous. You have to pay attention to the little things. So how do we do that? How do you become someone who pays attention? So it's a matter of proximity, actually. See, when you're very far away from something, you can't see the details of it. From here, I know you're women, I know you're men. Baruch Hashem, today at least we get that. But if I come closer, I could say, I know that you shaved yesterday, but not today, because I see a little stubble. If I come closer, I could see, oh, you put this type of makeup on. I'm not going to do that there, don't worry. But you come closer to someone and you start noticing more about them. Intellectually, emotionally, physically, the closer you are, the more you understand details. That's why the people that are greatest at whatever it is that they're doing, take a sports guy. So Steph Curry is the best shooter ever in the NBA. Steph Curry works on his craft and he knows that if my finger's like this, it's going to be slightly off. I'm going to put my finger like that. My son is a Baruch Hashem, very good basketball player. And he studies it and he watches the videos and whatever. So I'm decent. I used to be better, getting old. So we were shooting around once and he says, Tati, I was holding the ball where the ball was flush against my thing and my release was off. And he says, no, just off the fingertips. I switched the ball, I'm talking about a centimeter and a half. The first time he showed me, and we were shooting around, I was hitting like 60% of my shots. Which normally I was hitting like 40, 30%. And it was unbelievable. All I did was that. But if you love something, you want to get close to it. And when you get close to it, then you see the nuances. That's the limit says that this person really loves the person. You take a mother of twins. The rest of the world sees the twins and says, I don't know who's who. The mother says, are you kidding me? In the mother's mind, they're like worlds apart. Are you kidding? How do you think this one is this one and that one's that one? It's so obvious to the mother. Why? Because she loves the child. And if she loves the child, she pays attention to every single nuance. What are you talking about? That girl has that here, number 5,637 on that side, it goes up like this. The other one goes up like that. An eighth of a degree angle difference. Are you crazy? You don't notice that? If you love Hashem, if you love Yiddishkeit, you look and to get close. David HaMelech said. The greatest good, the first time you see Tov is by art. This is all connected. When you shine light on something, when you get close to something, you see the greatness in it. And that makes you into a gadol. Now, what's the difference between a katan and a gadol? Katan means even in the world of space, I'm smaller, I take up less space. A gadol means I'm closer to everything. I'm larger, I'm bigger. What's the greatest gadol? Hakel hagadol hagibar ba'anora. Hashem is a gadol. What does that mean, a gadol? Gadol means he's so big, there's no spaces empty of him. When we make small things, and we say, it's just that, it's just me saying this, just me not saying that. I said one thing lashon hara. I said one thing during Chazar Sashatz. I didn't invite that person, one little thing. It's a little kid, who cares if I said that to him? Whatever it is, my wife understands, my husband understands. So I didn't put an extra, I just hit into my head. A wife who's crazy about her husband, so she wants to do everything that it should be exact and perfect. And women usually get this more, women from the world of Bina, to understand davar mitoch davar, one thing from the other. That's why you ask a man to do something, you clean up the room. So we'll pick up anything bigger than this will be picked up. So you ask a woman to clean up the room, anything smaller than that might get away. You ask a man to get the room ready for a wedding, put the chairs out, the table out. The woman, the flowers have to be like this, and we have to have up lighting like that. No, like that. My stepmother is a party planner. So if she needs my help or whatever, for my daughter's bar mitzvah, we made the big letters, and I put it up. She goes, like that. Are you kidding me? But that makes a difference. When you walk into a room where somebody put their heart and soul into it, mamish, every nuance is thought of. And you walk away and say, wow, what a simcha. She thought of everything. She put the napkins like that. She did. So in general, that's why by relationships in general, women are better at it, because you're naturally have a more eye for the small things, for the details and the nuance of life. Also because you're more loving, more giving, so you look for that. We're getting there one day. We started off very big. Adam was very big when he was created. And it says, Yitzir's Ka Hashem squashed them down. The Gemara says that Hashem squashed them down, which means that our essence, all we're always wanting to do is to become big again. But we think big means to just be the big moments. I'll get Yom Kippur right, I'll get Rosh Hashanah right, I'll get Sukkot right, I'll get the Yom Tovim. That's Isoros. Binyan, building, is taking the Historit from Rosh Hashanah, from Yom Kippur, from Tisha B'Av, from Tu B'Av, whatever it is, and then going out the next day, and not saying now when's the next party coming, and putting it into action in the small bits of our lives. Because what we're doing there is we're recognizing that Hashem is so big that He fills up every tiny crack of our lives. You start off in Yiddishkeit, and you look at Shulchan Aruch, and it's interesting, Shulchan Aruch starts about waking up in the morning, and then how you get dressed. And then your right hand and your left hand, 4 steps, 3 steps, wash like this, wash like that, go to the bathroom, how you use the bathroom, how one takes care of cleaning oneself in the bathroom. Really? This is the Judaism I heard about, the spiritual religion. You're OCD. You're crazy, man. Relax. No. Every moment can be great. There's no small moments in life. That's other religions where you say, just come on Sunday and we're happy. No. You better show up every moment. And with every person, in every situation. The Gedolim, what made someone a Gadol? Think about it. What's the difference between a Gadol and anyone else? A Gadol made everybody important, everything important. They were worried about every little tiny halacha. They were worried about if I say this to this person, they're going to... Right? Every great story of a Gadol was he was sensitive. Sensitive means feeling tiny things. If I was super sensitive, I'd feel the dust in the room. Physically. That's what sensitivity means. I'm sensitive to the nuances and minutia of life, of people, of things, of Hashem. Because if I make Hashem I resonate Hashem to just when I'm in shul. I put the kippah on and I do what I'm doing. Just when I'm by the rabbi, just when I'm that, so then you're making a Shem Katan. He only fits there. He's very small. He doesn't come out of that. He doesn't come with me to work. He doesn't come in, well, I'm in traffic, I can say what I want, I can do what I want, I can cut people off. I'm very much talking to myself now. I could do it, because Hashem doesn't care about these things. And Hashem's not here. He's in the shul. He's by the kotel. No. You got it wrong. You're making Hashem a katan. Hashem is a gadol. And when we're starting Elul and we want to do tshuva, we want to come close to Hashem, we have to realize that it's all about the micro. We have to become big people by doing small things. By not just doing small things, by blowing up small things, by the real small things, by understanding that the really small things are really big. In the world of Kabbalah, you think about Kabbalah, how many things that we do al pi Kabbalah, how we cut the challah, how we do by the, it's all nuances, tiny little differences. Don't do like this, don't sit like this. I was telling the Rav, he should be well to 120, I was telling your Rav, so his son-in-law is Rabbi Ben Chaim. He lives by us in Woodman. Oh, we love him. He's so sweet, so wonderful, Talmid Chacham. So before he came, he was davening at our shul, at Eish Kodesh, and then he became the Rav of the local Sephardi shul. Before he got there, I used to give shir there every once in a while. I had the zchut to go give shir. And one time, I was sitting and I had my feet crossed like this. My Ashkenaz was not a big deal, but in Sephardi shul, I'm sure you guys know. So an old Sephardi man came up to me, and I love it. He just, by Ashkenaz, nobody would say anything. They're scared. I'm going to insult you. You're going to get sensitive. You're going to be upset. He goes, "Zasur," and I was the rabbi. And he goes, "Zasur." I'm like, so I wrongly said, "If got to Zasur," and I didn't say it in a bad way. I said, "I'm very curious. I've never seen it, and it's not necessarily written anywhere, but it's Zasur. Don't do it. It's disrespectful the way you're sitting. It's not nice. It's not seen. Whatever it is." To sit with the legs crossed for a man in the shul. And I learned a big lesson. Like, he was sensitive that you're in a Makom Kadosh. You don't sit like that. We don't want to make Rebbe cry anymore. We want to get to Olam Haba, and we want to get there by earning it. No cheat codes, no backdoors, no. The way Hashem wants us to get there, by giving us life every day. Al kol neshima neshima talaka. People always ask, say, how are you doing my refrain? Some people don't like it. I always say, Baruch Hashem, I'm still breathing. So everyone's reaction is like, that's like very dark and ominous. And maybe you should like listen to 9 Inch Nails and put black nail polish on. And I said, no, you don't understand. It's just the opposite. I try to appreciate every breath in life. That Hashem gave me breath, I could still breathe. Al kol neshima neshima talaka. I Baruch Hashem, still breathing. I take note of the small things. You'll see it every year in Hakarat HaTov. Small things, details, and Kivrah V'Eim. If you do this, that's what makes you great in that area. The small things. End with a story. It's one of my favorite stories. It's printed at the end of a book called Stories. It recently came out about the Lubavitcher Rebbe. People wrote their own stories that happened to Lubavitcher Rebbe. Zecher Tzadok Kadosh L'Bracha. And someone wrote, so when after the war, when the Baba Rebbe Zatzal came to America, he first set up camp in Crown Heights. It wasn't just Chabad there. Baba used to be in Crown Heights as well. The Lubavitcher Rebbe was walking out on Eastern Parkway, and he sees a little boy, and he's got his knapsack on, and it was loaded. It wasn't the last day of school, but it was loaded, and the kid was like struggling under it. And he said, "Young man, come here. Why are you carrying all your books?" And the little boy said, I don't have lockers in our things. We have to take our stuff back and forth every day. He says, "What yeshiva do you learn?" He says, "I'm a Baba V'Chassid. I learn in Baba." He says, "And you don't have lockers?" He says, "No." He says, "Okay." The Rebbe went back, called the Baba Rebbe, and said, "You don't have lockers in your room, in your yeshiva?" And the Baba Rebbe was, on top of everything, but he didn't realize. He says, "Okay." The next day, they said there were lockers in all the Baba yeshivas. You know what a gadol is? Gadol is someone who sees a little boy struggling on their knapsack and notices it. The Lubavitcher Rebbe was able to see a person and know all the ins and outs of that person because he loved every Jew. Because he paid attention. If you love someone and you love something, you pay attention to every detail of it. My Rebbe, Rabbi Moshe Weinberger, went to see Lubavitcher when he was 7 years old. And his father told him, you're going to go see the Rebbe? The yeshiva was taking him. Don't walk in and say, well, he's going to say, what's your name? And you say, Moshe Weinberger. Say no. Chaim Moshe ben Perel. That's my Rebbe's name. Chaim Moshe ben Perel. And so he said, my Rebbe said, I was very nervous because my father kept knocking me into my head. I was like repeating it like I shouldn't fail the test. Chaim Moshe ben Perel, Chaim Moshe ben Perel. So I got up there and I was the next in line and the Rebbe goes like this. And I was so nervous that, Chaim Moshe ben Perel. And the Rebbe goes, like, he gave him a smile and he goes on. My Rebbe went back when he was 21 years old. The Rebbe saw hundreds and thousands of people every day. 21 years old. 14 years later. And he walks in and the Rebbe goes, Chaim Moshe ben Perel. Because he loves every Jew. So every nuance, every bit. Chaim Moshe ben Perel, he'll remember. Everything, every little detail is what we have to work on. Again, not to necessarily forget about the big things. This is not a shir so you show up to Yom Kippur and start eating Yom Kippur. This is to take a Yom Kippur, to take an Elul, to take the 40 days from Elul to Yom Kippur, which is the 40 days of gestation of a baby being born. And every little bit, the mother drinks like this or eats like that during those days, smokes one cigarette, drinks a little too much, it affects that baby very, very big. We have to feel ourselves to be born again during these times and to realize that we're mamish like babies, and more than ever. That's why Shulchan Aruch tells us, right? You keep Pas Yisrael and you keep Chav Yisrael. There's influences. This is a time that we should take things upon ourselves and try to pay, at least during Elul, should be a practical thing that we take upon ourselves to pay attention to more of the details in halacha, in our lives, with our loved ones. And we should see the one who brings the most light in the world, that shines the light, and we see every particle of being as Hashem. That will be Mashiach Tzekenu with the Or, Mashiach Tzekenu Meheinu, Amen, Amen.